One of the secrets to exposure for your business lies within supporting Black businesses and entrepreneurs. And that is why the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce is here, to connect Black businesses from the desert to the sea. Let's join hands to empower and sustain our community. By becoming a member of the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce, you can grow your business and increase your clientele. With our innovation, we'll generate new businesses and get new customers. And we'll connect new mindsets with businesses from across Southern California to help bridge the wealth gap. Let's connect, build, and grow together. Join us now at blackchamberofcommerce.org.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to your weekly live call-in show. This is Nikisha Bond, VP of Corporate Affairs over here at the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce, and I am so excited you decided to join us. Now, let me tell you, all of this, don't mind this. Don't worry about this. None of this is your business. I need to finish painting, and I haven't finished painting, so don't judge me, or judge me if you want to. It's okay. I am excited that you guys are here today. We are so busy right now. We are getting ready for this amazing business summit that is coming up tomorrow. If you guys have not got your tickets, you need to go online, scan the QR code, get your tickets. I do have a code for you. So if you want to join and get $50 off, you can. I'm actually going to put it into the comments. I want you to use the link, and I want you to use RICH, R-I-C-H, because that's what we all are, 2026. And that's your coupon code so that you can get $50 off. Oh, I guess I probably should put that when I do that. Hold on. So I don't have a staff here. It's just me. $50 off. Code RICH 2026. So if you want to join the business summit, you absolutely need to do that and make sure that you get your tickets. They are on sale right now. We're happening tomorrow, but we would love to have you. If you're not going to be able to make it tomorrow, that's no worries. Why don't you come and join us at our golf tournament that's going to be happening on June 18th over there at the Rose Bowl. We are going to be having a great time at the Brookside Golf Club. I tell you, last year I went to our golf classic. I had so much fun. I was driving around on a little go-kart having an absolute blast. Also, did I tell you guys, we're going to be having our awards banquet during or after the business conference. So the conference is on Thursday and Friday, and the awards banquet is on the 9th. So if you are interested in any of that, I want you to please, sorry about that. I want you to please scan the QR code and join us. We would love to have you. So today I do have a guest coming on. They'll probably be on in about 10 minutes. But if you would like to join the live, I'm going to give you guys a QR code on the screen, right? Boom, there. So that you can scan the QR code. You can come into the back and we can talk today. And today, you know what I want to talk about today? This has really been heavy on my heart because I've really been thinking about failure a lot. If you guys know me, I've gone through some challenges over the last couple of years. And I've just become very acquainted with failure and what that really brings to your life. And I've learned to have a new perspective on it, right? Because when you go to school, they tell you that you're not allowed to fail. Because if you get an F, you can't actually graduate from high school, right? You get too many of them, they won't let you graduate from high school. So we get ingrained very, very young that failure is a bad thing, that you do not want to fail. If you fail, that means that you didn't succeed. They don't tell you that failure is a learning experience. And even when you're young, nobody really explains to you, what do you mean I failed? What does that mean? What am I supposed to do with that information? They just say, you failed, you're bad. That's all you think of failure is that you're bad, that you're wrong. You didn't do it right. We don't think of failure as, hey, you've never done this before. Why would you expect that you were going to succeed on the first try? Who does that? Statistically, most people don't succeed on the first try. Statistically, people have to try over and over and over again. So if statistically speaking, 80% of people are never going to make it on the first try, pretty much anything that they do, they're going to have to try again, learn again. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try something else. If that's true for most people, then why don't we embrace failure as more of just part of the process? It's actually a pretty fun part of the process if you really sit down and think about it. Because when you fail, you get the chance to start over again. And that's kind of fun. Starting over, getting on the journey, getting yourself back excited again, getting back on the horse. There's a lot of fun in that. The only way that I can equate it is when I was young, when I used to believe in Santa Claus, I would have so much fun writing my list, right? I would write my list. I would write list on top of list, on behind list, and revise the list and put this on the list. I had so much fun. I would spend months making this list. So I got the perfect items for Santa Claus. And then I would get them. And then Christmas Day, I'd be like really excited. And then I would open up the presents and I'm like, yep, that's what I wanted. Okay. And now what? I was kind of at a loss because it's like you opened up the gifts and now it's done. The journey is over. I'm not making any more lists. I'm not checking it twice. I'm not seeing if there's something else I might think of. I'm not having that mental energy of just kind of like spending money and doing the thing and doing the thing. When I got it, it was just kind of like, eh. So it kind of made me think about failure. Failure is really an opportunity to get that feeling back again, to get back into those plans, to start drawing again, to see what you did wrong and refix it again. I always was confused when my kids would play games over again, right? They would play the game, they would win, and then they would want to play it again. I'm like, but why are you going to play it again? You already know the game. And they're like, because this time I want to do it better. This time I want to try this. This time I want to try that. And I was like, ooh, that's so interesting to life, because we think of failure. Oh, that means I should quit. I don't want to do it again. I should stop. And we don't even think of like just the loops that we keep going in, which means like if we're okay with like doing things over and over and over again, then that means that you might fail within that process. I'm doing this in like a real-time thought exercise because I'm really trying to figure out, like, we're okay with playing over and over again, and we're okay with losing if it means that I get to try again and start over. So why in real life do we take failure as this just real knockdown? Now, I get it. Okay, listen, I'm not naive. I definitely get that there are real life aspects that happen to you when you fail, right? You might lose your house. You might lose your car. You might lose your job. You might go broke. There are some real things that can happen to you. But also, too, if you really think back to it, right? Think back to right before the failure. How stressed out were you? How much were you sleeping? How much were you eating? How depressed were you? How much did you say you needed a reset and a redo and you wanted? How many times did you say that? So when we really think about it, sometimes that failure is really like us just like, I can't go on like this anymore. So I'm just going to stop doing this. And then once you've stopped, you get a little bored because you're like, I got to kind of have something to do. And then you start thinking of new ideas. And then you start wanting to try again. And then that same idea that was always been in your mind that just keeps coming up, that you're really good at, that you don't know how to get rid of, just starts coming back to you. And you're like, you know what? Let me try this again. I think I can actually do this again. And all of a sudden that excitement happens, right? And you get the chance to do it again. So I'm saying that maybe we shouldn't look at failure as a problem. Maybe failure is not a bug. Maybe it's a feature. Maybe it's an exciting feature for us to learn something new, an exciting feature for us to start over again, an exciting reason for us to stay on the journey. Because really, if you think about it, all you have is the journey. Because when you get there, just like with my list, I did my list. When I got the presents, I was like, I had way more fun doing the list. If I really look back at it, I had so much fun creating that list. We have so much fun imagining and creating and doing the things and being on the journey and failing and, oh yeah, but we got it this time. Like, oh, we didn't do it. We tried and boom, we finally got it. And everybody cheers. And then we move on and then we're on to the next thing. But I'm saying that because I'm thinking like, we don't really care as much as we think we care. I think the world tells you you should care more than you actually care. The world tells you that when you failed, they put a label on you. They call you a failure. And they say, this didn't work out for you. And you failed. And you're this and you're that. And those are the labels that get put on us. Because if nobody ever said anything about your failure, right? And you could just fail in peace and call it a learning experience, we would not think of failure the way that we think of failure today. We wouldn't think of failure as something that was a bad thing. We would think of course, I've never done it before. Why? Of course. Why would I get it right the first time? That's statistically almost impossible. So of course, I'm going to fail. So we know we're going to fail. We see failure all the time. We fail all the time. So why do we make it such a big deal? Why are we telling ourselves these negative things about failure that don't serve us? Because I'm really big on, hold on, I got to make a little tangent. I'm really big on why do we keep telling ourselves stories that don't benefit us? Because somebody else wanted us to say that, because maybe it benefited them. You ever think about that? Why don't we think about the things that we want to think about that are in our best interest? Because who is about your best interest? Who's got your best interest at heart? You do. Who cares about you succeeding more than anybody else? You do. Who wants the best for you and wants everything to work out in your favor? You do. So when you really think about it, You want all of these great things for yourself. You want to do all of these things. So why are we telling ourselves stories that do not serve us? Why are we telling ourselves that failure is the end of things? Why couldn't failure be the beginning? Why couldn't failure just be a flag that said that didn't work? And now I need to do something different. Or maybe it says, I just need to practice more. Or maybe I need to learn more. Maybe it's just an indicator. Like when a stop sign happens, we don't be like, oh, forget it. Wow. Sorry, I got a little crazy with that. Oh, forget it. Just forget it. I'm going home. There's a stop sign. We don't think that way. We don't look at stop signs and be like, oh, we just quit. I got to quit driving. There was an accident. I'm never going to drive again. No, never going to drive again. I saw that accident. You saw those people over there. They got into an accident. So I'm saying that to say, maybe it's our stories that we're telling ourselves about failure that's making us feel the way that we do about failure. Because if we looked at failure for what it actually was, which is a learning experience, we wouldn't think so negatively about ourselves. And why do we think negatively about ourselves? Because the world tells you to think negatively about yourself, but you don't have to. Because in the four corners of your mind should be a safe zone for you to think about and believe whatever it is that you want. Now, I know that people won't tell you that because they don't like you to have that much power, right? Imagine if you really just took the corners of your mind and said, inside here, I think whatever I want to think, and I'm amazing, and I can do it, and I've got this, and everything is working out for me. What if that was in the four corners of your mind? How would your life change? How would you now filter in failure? It would come through a whole different lens because it would now just be a data point that says, okay, that didn't work out. Let me analyze. Let me do a retrospective. Let me figure out what was working, what didn't work. What could I improve? Where did I go wrong? Let me just look at it as a data point. It doesn't mean anything. It's neutral. You're the one who's giving it the meaning. So why are you making it mean something negative? Because it doesn't have to. But people are telling you that, but it doesn't have to, not in your mind, right? It can, in the other world, like outside in the world, people can think whatever they want because you really can't control what people outside of you think, but you can control what you think. So don't you want this place to be a safe space in your mind? I think you do. And I see that our caller has joined us. So let's take a quick commercial break and then we will be back with our special guest.
Good news for the Southern California business community. Now you can add your business to the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce Business Directory complimentary. We have been working tirelessly to build a list of Black-owned enterprises in Southern California. This is an excellent way for you to be a part of an expansive network and find your ideal customers, business partners, and vendors. So don't waste time. Visit blackchamberofcommerce.org today and add your business today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to your weekly call-in show. I am Nikisha Bond, VP of Corporate Affairs over here at the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce. I am so excited you decided to join us today. Today, we've been talking about failure, right? Because I've had a very intimate relationship with failure. And I've learned so much from that. And I have a special guest that I want to bring on. I'm going to bring Mr. B to the stage, and we're just going to talk about it because that's what this is. It's a weekly call-in show. I have the QR code on the screen. So if you would like to join me or Mr. B and have a conversation about failure, I would love for you to join us. So Mr. B, welcome to the program.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you joined us today. All right. So let's talk about it. Failure. What's your position on failure? I was telling everybody that I think that we frame failure incorrectly because honestly, you've never done it before. So why would you think you're going to be perfect? Of course, you should fail. Like statistically speaking, the first time you try anything, you fail. And I was saying if you go to a stop sign and like, if you're like riding a bike and your kid falls off the bike, you don't sit up there, oh, you stupid kid, get off that bike. You're done. You're a failure. You know what I'm saying? We don't look at it that way. But then with our own selves, we're so hard on ourselves. Like, oh my gosh, you failed. You're done. Get off the bike. You can never ride again. It's not for you. So what are your thoughts on failure?
So how can I say this? Failure is not an option. And the reason why I would say that is because if you look at failure, the word failure, you're in the state. It's a place in which you reside in. I don't see anything wrong with failing, right? But if you're a failure, you are stuck. And I think that's because of the manner in which we look at things. We don't see the difference in you failed and you becoming a failure. Because if you fail, that just means, like you said, you fell off the bike. If you're a failure, you have the inability to succeed. You're stuck in that state. And that's completely different than, I failed. I tried something, it didn't work out, I failed. Does that make you a failure? No, it makes it part of the path to getting to where you're planning on going.
Right?
Now, failures never succeed. Those guys, they just suck. Right? But to fail, it means you tried.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a failure, that just means you've given up all hope.
Mm. And you know what's so interesting about what you just said is there's so many people that are waiting for other people to fail because it's their excuse to be like, see, the reason why I failed and like you failed and I failed, like we're both on the same thing. Like I feel like people get a little bit of joy when they see other people failing. Because I know me, when I've gone through tough times, you would think that people would be like, oh, you're gonna make it, it's okay. And I'm not saying like most people were, but there was those couple people who were like, oh, my, how the mighty have fallen. And I was like, ooh, that's ugly. Ew, I don't like that for you.
Yeah, those are the people that's never tried.
They've never tried, or maybe they tried and they quit and they just never got back on. So it's like if
Yeah,
you
so
fail and you keep going, then you've now negated their excuse for not going. Or do you really think they've never tried anything before at all?
yes, so they're actual failures.
I can see that. Yeah.
That's the definition of the word. It's like you look at the word and what it means. You know, if you're a failure, you're not trying. There's an inability for success.
Yeah.
If you fail, it's just a state that you're in.
Yeah. I think we just don't look at failing as like learning. And I think people think that if you fail, you automatically are a failure. And like my daughter, she was telling me, she's like, she's a writer, but she's not an author. And she said, all authors are writers, but not all writers are authors. And I think that's kind of like all, I don't know how you say it the same with failures, but it's kind of like that. Like everybody's going to fail, but just because not all fails make you a failure. You know what I mean? Like everybody fails, but that doesn't make you a failure. Just even if you fail repeatedly because you're trying and as long as you're trying and you're learning. Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think that like you can like just keep repeatedly failing and failing and failing and like that does make you a failure, but you keep trying? Like, does that count?
No, that just make you dumb and hard-headed. I mean, like real talk.
Yeah, I can see that.
What else you want to say? Like, it's not working.
Yeah.
And it's the process you're using that's not working. They like to tell you what insanity means, but it's just not working. How about you try a different approach? And that typically comes down to pride.
I can see that. There's been a lot of times I didn't pivot because of pride. I like the story. And I didn't want to give up the story yet.
It's hard. It's hard for us to let go of that baby or to admit that we need help.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So what do people do? Like if you are in that situation and you feel like you're having a hard time asking for help, but you keep butting into the same problems again, you kind of feel like it's you're starting to get that it could be me type situation. Like, how do you not fall into I've become a failure? Like, what do you think? Because it seems like maybe there's a thin line, or maybe there's like an opportunity of a decision. Like there's a fork in the road where you decide, okay, I'm not going to let this define me, and I'm going to go on and I'm going to make it happen. And then there's that other one where it's like, no, I'm going to quit and I'm going to go back home. But like, what do you think that is? That like things are not quite working out. You wouldn't necessarily call yourself a failure, but you're failing a lot. How do people know what to pivot, when to like let it go? Like, how do you navigate that?
So there's nothing wrong with taking a step back to go forward. Every athlete that runs a race takes a step back to push forward. And that's the one thing that's hard for individuals, everyone to do. We're so invested in whatever it is that we're trying to achieve that we're afraid of a reset. Right? And it's funny because if you reset in whatever fashion or form, whether let's say you change cities, you change approach, you change your circle, you pitch it somewhere else, right? There's nothing wrong with that because your reset doesn't mean you're starting over. You're starting from where you left off because you already got an accumulation of what you've learned over the time. And now you're starting over. Just picture like selling encyclopedias. The guy that used to go door to door, knock on doors, right?
Mhm.
And then the one guy that was like, I'm sick of walking. I can sell it online. And look what happened. And then from there, you have everything else. And, just want you to know, a little sidebar, that example is not actually my example. You need to read Who Moved My Cheese.
To learn the full lesson.
Yeah. And that book right there is important too. Who Moved My Cheese? We don't realize when the cheese is running out.
Yeah, that is a really good book. I read that to my kids and they were like, I could see their eyes kind of opening like, okay, well, why don't they go and find the cheese? And it was like,
Yeah.
some people get so stuck on, well, no, who moved it? It's like, okay, but the cheese is not here. Like you're gonna have to deal with that. Let's deal with that first, and then we can go back and ask about where it got moved to, who moved it, why it's not here anymore. But like right now, the immediate issue is we ain't got no cheese, so we got to go find it. And I do think that is where people get stuck. I'm glad you brought that up because that's a really good book of Who Moved My Cheese. It's just, if you guys haven't read the book, it's a great book talks about mice, and they keep going back to this one corridor to get cheese, and then one day they go back and there's no more cheese, and then they keep
Mice and Little People.
Mice and Little People. I can't remember the whole thing, but it's a very quick read. But what you come away with is there's some people who look at a situation and just realize it's not working out and I need to pivot. And there's some people who just keep looking at the situation, complaining about the situation, arguing about the situation, arguing for their limitations on what's happened and why did it happen? I can't believe this happened to me. And they're not moving on to like, okay, but the cheese isn't here. And we can deal with how you feel about that later, but we got to go find some cheese because that's starting to become a big situation. So we already have a situation where we don't have the cheese, and staying here not finding new cheese is going to give us another situation. So it's a really good book if you haven't read that, or if you're worried about failure, because that's a great book that's talking a little bit about failure or things not working out, or you having to pivot and find a new strategy. So tell us, Mr. B, what is some advice that you would have? Like, what have you learned the most about failure? Like, what's your best advice about if somebody's in a situation where they feel like they failed or it's not working out? What's your best advice?
Let's make it biblical. If they do not accept your word, shake the dust off your feet and go somewhere else.
There you go. I said that to me, if you're not biblical, that's keep your pipeline busy. Because we get busy,
we keep trying to give our products to the wrong people.
Yeah. And we try to fight them to get it. And they're like, no, I don't want that. And we're not recognizing that.
Yeah. Look at anybody that's successful. All they did was go to the next town.
Mm-hmm. Or just slightly tweak their offer to make it where the audience can really buy. Because people do like to buy and they're looking for solutions to their problems. So it's not like people don't want to buy your products, but sometimes it's maybe the way that you're giving it to them, the timing. There's a lot of different factors. And I think you have to also be a little disconnected so that you don't take the failure or the rejection personally, because a lot of times people not buying from you or not getting what they need doesn't really even have anything to do with you. It's their like psychological thing that they're going through. And you can definitely help with that, but you can't really take that personal if they don't want to buy from you at that time.
I did an Asian event, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was in, Hong Kong? And I was really tall compared to these little people, and they ran away from me. So when I did this Asian event, I told myself, I know for a fact they're not going to want to buy from a big black man. So I hired some Asians to sell it to them. You got to realize when people don't want to buy from you, and that when you put somebody else in the position, you're still making the money.
That's a strategy. You have to talk to your consumers in the way that they want to hear the information. So you may want to be like, well, I shouldn't have to do that. And it's like, yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't have to, but do you want the sale? I think that's the thing about business owners. They got to get a little bit flexible. And it's like, if you can't sell it, then you got to get somebody who can, because the goal is to sell it. It wasn't that you necessarily have to sell it. And I think that's a great mindset to have.
Popeyes is owned by an Asian company, and everybody thinks that black woman owns it.
Well, because she's on the commercials, but that's marketing.
Exactly.
That's marketing.
Exactly.
That's marketing. Yeah, no, that's marketing. I get that. And you know what else I get? I get to take a little break because it is 5:30 and we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Business owners are raving about the new talk show, Strictly Business with host Rich Wallace. Tune in as the top experts in business share their success stories, strategies, guidance, and advice to help you grow your business. With guests from the top companies to your favorite influencers, Strictly Business with host Rich Wallace is the show to watch for all things business. Our conversations are strictly business. We discuss new funding options, new business initiatives, best business practices, all things business explained. We provide you with the tips you need for your business, all in one morning business talk show. Be sure to tune in. Are you a business owner? Do you have a story to share? Are you able to help our audience? Then we want you on Strictly Business with host Rich Wallace. Visit the website at edgetvnetwork.net and select Be a Guest to schedule your appearance today.
All right. Hello, everyone. We're back. And I just want to make a couple of quick announcements. Again, this is Nikisha Bond, VP of Corporate Affairs over here at the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce. If you are just now joining us, this is our weekly live business call-in show. So I do have the QR code on the screen up in this over here. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. So go ahead and scan it, come into the back, and we'll have you join us, me and myself and Mr. B. Also, I want to do a couple of quick announcements before we get back to our conversation. We're talking about failure today. So if you've been struggling with failure, or you might feel like you're in a failure loop right now, this is the conversation you want to be a part of. So we are also super busy right now over at the Chamber because we have our annual Unity and Diversity Business Summit. We are so excited to present this one. This is a great event. If you are looking to just fast track your business, you want to get in there, you want to, learn about marketing, promotion, AI. We have a grant writer coming. We have some banks coming. We have so many different people who can come and help you take your business to the next level. Scan the QR code. I did put in the comments, if you do Rich 2026, you can save $50 off of your tickets. And whether that's going to be tickets to the actual conference, which is on Thursday and Friday, or if you want to join us on Saturday at the Unity and Diversity Awards Banquet, it's going to be over at the Delta Hotel. The whole conference is at the Delta Hotel in Ontario. That's going to be Saturday at 6 p.m. You can get your tickets now. Tickets are selling out, so make sure that you go ahead and join. Go to the website and get those. And if you're thinking that's a little too formal for me, Nikisha, I like to keep it a little bit more casual. We do have our annual golf classic that's going to be happening Thursday, June 18th, and that's going to be at the Brookside Golf Club over at the Rose Bowl, and you're going to have a great time. So many people have so much fun because we do lots of networking. Everywhere we go, we're always networking because business is about networking. When I was younger, I used to think that business was all these like buildings and machines and stuff like that. But building is people. And you need people in order to grow your business, in order to scale your business, in order to do anything in your business. You're going to need some other people. Even if those people don't look like you, you're going to need other people. So with that, I want to go back to our conversation. So me and Mr. B, we were talking really just about failure. And I want to talk a little bit more about the opportunities that failing provides you, because I think a lot of times people feel like, oh, I failed and it's over for me. But I also feel like failing, once you hit like rock bottom, the only way that you can look is up. Like the only way we're going is up once we hit the bottom. Once you know that there's no more of a drag, like you just hit the absolute bottom, everything you do now is just taking you up, and you get to ride that exciting wave of momentum back on the journey of life. Because I feel like everybody, you don't want to tiptoe to the grave, right? So we're all should be out here going towards our goals, going towards our dreams, trying to make things happen for ourselves. And so when you hit that failure bump, it should be something that you go through, and then get out of. And then you're going to go through and get out of it again. And then you realize it's kind of a feature. Maybe it's not so much a bug. Maybe it's a little bit more of a feature. But that's just kind of my thought on failure in general, and just people starting over and the opportunity that it brings. I feel like it brings a lot of opportunities. So, Mr. B, what are your thoughts on failure? Do you feel like there's opportunities in failures, or do you feel like once you fail, you're stuck and that's it?
There's many opportunities. Everyone has failed. There's not a successful person that cannot tell you about their failures. As a matter of fact, when you meet people that are successful and they're advising you, they never tell you what you're doing wrong. They help you to move on from where you are, right? Because you have the people, I'm here categorizing, right? Forming opinions, but it's truth, that have, if you want to say, have never tried, have never achieved anything. They're the first to come in your business and tell you what you should be doing. Right. And I'm the first to say I never hired a consultant. So, I hired you for a task. And so there's, no matter how successful you are, you're going to have failure. If you have a company that's making multi-million dollars, you've had a product that failed, that never launched. People never heard about it. Money was spent on research. It happens continuously. The only time you truly have entered into failure is when you refuse to actually try.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, you're going to get knocked down. Yeah, you're going to fall. Yeah, you're going this. Yeah, you're going that. Right. But look at all these guys that's doing all these flips and stuff off bikes and snowboards. Every single one of them has fallen and broken a bone.
Right.
And they're still doing it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. I think that we get, oh, sorry, there's a little bit of feedback. No, I totally agree with you. I think that people get stuck in their head about failure and don't realize the bigger picture. Like, you just had a failure, that doesn't make you a failure. You just failed, that doesn't make you a failure, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. And, once you start to look at things as having an opportunity, then you'll see the opportunity. I think it's when you get stuck in your situation and you feel like there's no hope, then you're not going to have any hope. You're not going to be able to see the solution, because you're in that place where the solution can be right in front of you, but because you're so focused on the problem, you can't even see the solution, which is why you can't really couch failure in this like little container and just carry it around with you, because then you're going to get stuck there, and your reticular activating system hasn't been activated to the solution because you're so focused on the problem. And I think that's what failure does, is it makes you focus more on the problem than focused on the solution, and that there is a way out, and that the obstacle is the way. Because a lot of times that failure that you're going through, that obstacle that you're trying to get over, is getting you the skills and gaining you the things that you need in order to do some other things that you want to do in your business. I'll say that the things that have challenged me the most in life, that have been the hardest things for me to go through, have always built the most character from me. And I think that you can't get that until you put yourself in a position where you probably will fail, or you will fall short, because you're doing something that's stretching you just like right outside of your zone. So I think that's the thing that, you can also, failure as a note, is that you're probably stretching yourself. You're probably doing stuff you've never done before if you are in a position that you're failing. And so if you do get to that place where you failed and failed and failed, and then you stop, then that's when you just become a failure, because now you're not back out there learning and trying and revising and doing it over again.
Yeah, resilience workouts are real.
Right. You got to stretch that bounce back.
It keeps you going. And it's crazy? What if you succeeded and never failed, and then failed at the top?
I think that's worse.
That is way worse.
Yeah.
Because you never learned how to deal with it.
Yeah. And a lot of times failing on those smaller things gives you the confidence to then go and do those bigger things. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I did something that's kind of small in this little realm, but what I really want to do is this big thing over here. And learning all of your failures in this smaller realm, where the impact or the results of the failure is a lot smaller, is going to be better than getting way out there and, like buying a big building and get tons of investors and spend all this money. And then like you get out there and you do it for the first time, and now you're just now encountering failure, versus you did like a minimum viable product. You had something small over here that you were kind of testing the waters with and getting used to it and learning how to pivot and learning how to rebound from failure. Because I think that's an important thing too, because if you are going to fail, then you have to get that mindset of how do you rebound when you do fail. If it is a feature and not a bug, that means it's going to happen. So you need to be prepared for it. You need to know how you're going to approach it and how you're going to deal with it and how you're going to overcome it, unless you're just deciding that I'm just going to take it and, never do anything again.
Yeah. And you also got to be surrounded with the right people too. People that build you up, right? Not somebody necessarily, if I want to say lift you up, but build you up. It's a difference.
What's the difference?
Because, we've all experienced it. Right, we've had some good days, right? Keisha, some good days, right? Some good days. Like, yeah, that was a good day.
Milk and honey.
That was a good day. And then you had them days. It was like, yeah, that was today. And so, but if you don't have anyone that you talk to or, that can help you to build you up, like how we having this conversation here, it's not the first time we're having a conversation like this, but it's like you have a circle where you can go to like, man, this didn't go as planned, that didn't go as planned. This is what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. You know what? I'm done. All that stuff. Right. And like you see me pivot several times.
Yeah.
Right. You see me pivot when there was no light. Right. What are you doing? I'm preparing for next. But you're here. Yeah, but I'm preparing for next. But you're here. But you're here. Nah, but I'm preparing for next. Okay. How are you preparing for next? Because next has to come. And a lot of people get caught up in, just being down and now and not being prepared for next, because you take what you have learned from now to prepare for next.
Yeah.
Right?
That's such a good mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with failure. Now, don't get me wrong. I ain't tell you to be continuously failing. I'm telling you that if you're climbing the stairs and you trip to the next step, keep going up.
Right.
And you trip to keep going up. Keep going up, because you're going to get to the top eventually. Now, if you tumble down to the bottom of the stairs, seek medical help.
Take some time off. It's time to take a break.
Seek medical help. Move, switch, pivot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think also too, I think the reason why we have that mindset is we're married to the game too. A lot of people come in this and it's like, I'll try. I'm going to try. Oh, I think we lost Mr. B. I think a lot of people come into the business game and they're like, I'll try. I'll see if I'll make it work. And then there's people who are married to the game. And I think there's a difference, because if you're in a relationship where divorce is on the table, you're going to be operating one way than if you're dealing with someone who's like, divorce is not an option. So I think when you're married to the game, I don't know if you heard that, Mr. B. I was saying that like when you're married to the game, it's like being in a relationship where divorce is not an option. Like, we will figure this out. We will find a solution, because there is no out. There is no leaving. That the only way out is through. That's the only way that we get out, is we go through this storm. We go through whatever we're going through. And so I think being married to the game really helps you to reorient your mind about failure, because if in your mind you say, I'll do this unless this happens or that happens, or it doesn't work out, or this, if you have all these reasons on why you'll quit, then eventually one of those reasons will come up and you'll end up quitting, because so many different things come up. But if you're like, quitting is just not an option, so let's just take all those off the table, we're only going to focus on solutions that keep us in the game, now you're in a totally different mindset. And I think that makes it so that we can look at failure, and other people like that can look at failure and be like, it's nothing, because I'm so in this that there's no quitting. So failure doesn't really exist, because it just means I learned I didn't do it right the first time, and that doesn't mean anything. Now I'm ready to do it right this time, because I'm still married to the game. So I'm going to keep on going. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like you have to be married to the game in order for you to rationalize failure? Or do you think that you just got to get over it? Do you not, maybe you don't have to be married to the game. You just got to get over your fear of failure, or your concerns with failure, or what are your thoughts?
You have to be analytical about failure. I told a friend of mine that every position in his company was created because of something that the owner failed at.
Well, yeah.
You got to see,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the owner can't do everything. So, yeah.
But you have to realize that. We don't start off realizing that. We start off with these big dreams and I can accomplish everything. And then reality hits and you're like, yo, I'm one person and I can't accomplish, right? And that's the thing. So, if you're able to become analytical and be real about yourself, truly evaluate yourself, to see where your shortcomings are and be real about your shortcomings, because everyone has a weakness. And it's okay. It's okay to have a weakness. But just like, we have the philosophy that we're only as strong as our weakest link, you're only as strong as your weakest strength. So you compensate by, filling that with people, systems, strategies, to compensate for that weakness, because every business has a weakness. And you have to analyze it to compensate for it. Every person has a weakness. You have to analyze yourself to compensate for it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a weakness. The issue is when you can't be real with yourself and say, you know what? I just ain't strong at that. I just ain't strong at that. This guy told me something, I'll never forget it. He said that he was in South Africa diving with sharks. And the black people was like, what's wrong with you white people? Right? And he was sharing this with me because he's like, I think it was like 3 or 5 companies. He said, I'm traveling the world and my companies are still running. I said, okay, I'm trying to figure out where he's going with. He said, I figured out what I was good at, and that's all I did. And then I hired everybody else to do what I wasn't good at. So when you can truly analyze yourself, you can overcome your shortcomings or your fails and create an implementation to where you on the road to success.
No, you are absolutely true. I think so many people fail because they aren't self-aware. And you have to know when sometimes you could be the problem. I know there's some times where I can be the problem because one, like I don't like to micromanage people. So when I work with people, I have to let them know, like, I'm not following up with you in any other reason. Otherwise, I don't do that. I don't follow up with people. I'm expecting that now that I've given you this task, you're going to let me know when it's done. So I'm expecting that you're just going to let me know when it's done. I'm not going to follow up with you every single day to make sure that you did it. I'm expecting you to tell me that it's done. Because I know me, that if I don't say that to people, they won't know that that's an expectation that I need, because I don't have time to keep following people around. I like to be like, I got it. You got it. Do you have any questions for me? Okay, great. When am I going to get it back? Perfect. I put it on my calendar and now I'm gone. And then if you have questions or you need something from me, you need to initiate that with me. So that's one of the things that I know I really lack at, is just following up with people and making sure they're doing the things that I want them to do, because my expectation is that if I gave it to you, you're just going to give it back to me. But if I don't express that to people, if I don't say that's my expectation, then how would anybody know? And so that could be something where I have to be self-aware about myself. I also have to be self-aware of, you know, the way I can say things or the way I can come off, because sometimes, especially if I get really busy, it can come off in a very like, just go and do it. Just do it. You can figure this out. Just go and do it. And I say that because that's how I am, but that doesn't mean that's how everybody else is. So I have to also accommodate who I'm talking to, and I have to be self-aware enough to say that sometimes that type of attitude doesn't go over well. So see if you can, like, you know, make sure that, like, for me, it's like, okay, well, let's sit down with people. Let's give them procedures. Let's give them, you know, training materials that they have in front of them so that we can have a meeting of the minds, and then they can go off and do the things that they need to do. So I also have to be self-aware about what it is that I need. And then I have to be able to set them up for success as well. So I think that's a part of why people end up failing inadvertently, because they're not aware of the things that how they are, and they're not aware of what other people need. And even though, like that guy, he was hiring all of those people, once you start hiring people, it opens up a new dynamic, because now you're dealing with all these different personalities. And then if you want to build in leadership, that's a new dynamic, and you're dealing with a whole bunch of different personalities in that way. So I think it's important that we become very self-aware so that we can understand where failure might happen and where it can be us. Because I think that's the part where I see business owners struggle the most, is that they're the problem. And I would say that when I go and I do consulting and I look at organizations, I would say that 80% of the time it's the owners. And they're completely not aware of it. Completely not aware of it. They think that their behavior, the way that they're acting, the way they're talking to people is perfectly okay. And because everybody works for you, nobody's going to say that, right? So nobody's going to tell you that. So then when everything ends up failing, when I come in and I'm talking to people, I talk to those people, they know. The people that work for you, they know. And so they're just not telling you. So that's where I think that self-awareness comes in, is you got to know, like, how do I come across? What do people take that feedback as constructive criticism, you know, to heart? Because sometimes it's not always what you say to people, it's how you say things to people. So a lot of that can contribute to our own failure. Like, we can be the author of our own demise sometimes. So it's important that we're self-aware about what we're contributing to this, so that we don't just sit up there and be like, oh no, it's you, it's him, it's her, it's there. It's like, okay, baby girl, at the end of the day, you're the common denominator amongst all those people. Let's look in the mirror, right? Can we look in the mirror?
Yeah, I put a buffer between me and staff.
Why is that?
Because I'm a nice guy. I care about everyone's feelings. I want to make sure everybody's well. And then I also have the other side where I'm stern and I'm rough. And like you said, they don't understand that. So I was being taken advantage of and being complained about at the same time. Yeah. So I put somebody in between. I can tell that person how I feel about everything. They understand. And they take it from there, and I don't got to interact with the people. And that's best for me. But I had to realize that, because Yeah, no, I have to be real with myself.
Because I was kind of low key talking to you, but see, you're self aware enough to know.
Low key, you were talking to me. Did you say low key? You was talking to me? Did I just tell you I hired a consultant? Low key talking to me? Now that's funny. That's hilarious.
No, not
That's
you
hilarious.
in particular. No, not you in particular. I'm just saying people with very strong personalities, because you are a force, and people are very intimidated by people who come in and they're a force. And most entrepreneurs, especially when they're passionate, they're very forceful. And I think a lot of times, I'm glad you're self-aware to realize that, because I think for us, like, we don't mind that type of stuff, because like you can take it, you can dish it, so it goes back and forth. But the average person is kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're talking to me like that. I can't believe you said that to me. Like, I can't believe all this, and they completely break down. So I'm glad that you're aware of that.
Oh yeah, no. I have to have somebody in between. I have to. Like, that's the way I operate. Like, I need somebody that's there that I can relate to, and I don't need to talk to anybody else. Period. Like, they just need to know, like, oh, that's the owner right there. That's the guy that's it. We don't need any more conversation. I train that person to train everyone. Right? I don't want that interaction.
Yeah. With David, I do the same thing. Like, I tell the staff, I'm like, okay, for those of you who don't know, David's my husband. We have a landscape construction company together. And one of the things I say is, like, if you have a conversation with David, I don't care what he says to you, that was just a really great conversation. If you want to get paid, if that conversation needs to turn into some type of contract that you want us to be responsible for, you need to talk to me, because you're just having a conversation with him. If you actually want it to get done, you need to talk to me. So I had to tell people that too. So, all right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be right back to close out the show.
Good news for the Southern California business community. Now you can add your business to the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce Business Directory complimentary. We have been working tirelessly to build a list of Black-owned enterprises in Southern California. This is an excellent way for you to be a part of an expansive network and find your ideal customers, business partners, and vendors. So don't waste time. Visit blackchamberofcommerce.org today and add your business today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Nikisha Bond. We're about to close out the hour of our weekly call-in show. This is the weekly business call-in show. And I am your host, Nikisha Bond, the VP of Corporate Affairs over here at the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce. This light is getting hot, and I'm getting tired, but we have about 10 more minutes before we close it out. I'm going to bring Mr. B back to the stage just so that we can talk a little bit more as we close out tonight. So, Mr. B, before we go ahead and wrap up tonight, what would you say is your best advice that you'd like to give someone, whether they're dealing with failure or not? Just your best advice that you have overall.
I don't know. I'm not good at advices.
What do you tell people all the time?
What do I do?
Yeah, what do you tell people all the time?
Don't quit. Actually, yeah, don't quit. It's sometimes you don't realize how close you are, right? And then you will find your solution within the mistakes, right? And that's the thing, you'll find the solution within the mistake. Think of every drug out there. Look at the new one. GLP, the fat people serum?
Oh yeah, right? The Ozempic and all that. GLP-1s.
That was for diabetes. That was for diabetes.
But it makes you skinny.
And so, it's like, that was a mistake that became something great. So imagine if you don't continue to find out the mistake that could be great. All right, so don't quit. Yeah, don't quit. Just keep going and don't worry about anybody else. So I listened to, I don't know if they know Lecrae. Lecrae is a Christian artist. Pretty good. He got his own podcast too. He be on the deep end. But he has this phrase where it says, if you live for people's, I'm gonna say it exactly how it says it. If you live for people, you're gonna die in their comments. I'm summarizing it a little. So he says it a little bit different. But if you live in to get to hear what people say and accolades from other people, you're going to die when they talk bad about you. Because that's what you've been doing it for. So don't look to the left, don't look to the right, don't worry about what anybody else say, because anybody that has truly succeeded will tell you just keep going, bro. You're right there.
Yeah.
Anybody else that hasn't done it will be like, you should quit. I don't know why you keep doing this. Maybe you're just not that good. Oh, I did an event. I got you. I did an event in Temecula. Right? I put on I pitched a $50 event on a $5 budget, right? And when I finished with this monstrosity of an ordeal that I put on, the guy looked me dead in my face and said, maybe you should just quit and not do this, because obviously you're not fit for things like this.
Oh, well. That's
right? And I was like, okay. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, I was dumb because I promised them $50 on $5. Who's going to make up the other $45? I analyzed what I did wrong. My whole thing was I was ambitious, and I made ambitious promises that was not realistic. And we do that all the time. But you know what you do? You learn from that.
Yeah.
And from that mistake, I met a friend, still friends to this day, that saw the potential that existed in me and took me under their wing to guide me. So you don't know?
You don't know. And you never know when what you're going through is what you need in order to learn the skills that you're trying to get to the next level. Because a lot of what we do, you can't think your way out of it. You actually just got to get out there and do it. You got to try. And so a lot of times when we get into these places where we're up against the wall or things aren't working out or you make a bad call or a bad decision, it's like you needed that within the context to understand even how to move forward, because words don't always teach, but life experience teaches. Somebody can tell you like, hey, don't price it like that. And then now from your life experience, you're like, oh, now I know why I don't need to price it like that. Because before you're like, oh, yeah, they're saying that, but I could do it faster. I could do it quicker. I could do it for less money. We always think that we can, right? We always think that we can reinvent the wheel and do it better than anybody has ever done it before, because that's the delusion of never having that experience. Of course you can say that. But then when it gets down to it, you have to be able to call and be like, ooh, actually, no. Actually, I do have limits. Actually, I can't afford that. Actually, you were right. And actually, I learned a lot from that. And I think that,
you know what? You just spoke as a person that's been there. I'm talking as a person that's, never been there, that wants to be like, you know what, I can do it. And then you find out why they do it the way they do it.
Yeah. But
right?
You got to go through that, though. You can't.
I know. And I'll guide your hand. And when you go through it and you come by and your butt hurt and everything hurts on your body and you want to quit because you're like, I should have done this and everything hurts and, you lost all that money. I'm the guy that's going to be like, all right, keep going.
Right. And that's what you need, is after all of that, somebody who's going to look at you and be like, yeah, keep going. That's part of the process. In fact, anytime somebody tells me that they're going through legal trouble, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. You're like a real business now. Like, you're not a real business until somebody sues you. If nobody has sued you, if you haven't lost all of your money, like, you're getting ready to call yourself a business owner. You have to be sued in order to call yourself a real business owner. You're not real if you don't. No, I
hope you never have to go through that process. Whoever is listening, it's not fun.
Let me tell you about the time a lady sued me. Let me tell you about that time. Okay, we only got a few minutes, but listen. This lady, we gave her all the discounts. We were so nice to her. We did everything for her. But when we didn't do this one thing for her, she sued us to not have to pay money that she didn't pay us. Like, she didn't pay us for the job. And she sued us to not have to pay us because she said she didn't like what we did. And here was the thing that I learned from that incident. I learned that pettiness doesn't always pay. I'm one of those people, you know me, Mr. B. I love a good righteous indignation. I don't mind getting petty. If you go low, I go straight to hell. So I have no problem with that. But that lesson, I learned from that lesson that you can do that and it doesn't pay at the end of the day. It would have been better to just do what she wanted to do, learn from that situation, and not try to sit up here and fight and think that we were actually going to win at the end of the day. So yes, I learned I had to get sued to realize that, like, you can you can be petty with some people, but some people will take it all the way with you. And she was not afraid to take it all the way with us. She had no problem with that. So, I picked the wrong one. So now I'm much more like, okay, let's talk this out. Let's work this out. Let's not sit up here and get to the petty place of going to court. So I'm just telling you
that's why businesses have gift cards. Because they've been sued before. That's what that lesson was.
Right. And we straightened up our contracts after that. I had lawyers looking at our contracts. Like, I learned a lot because I didn't let that failure, that failing that happened, because I failed. Like, that was my L. I had to take that. That was all mine.
Was that a failure, or that's when keeping it real goes wrong?
No, I feel like it was an unforced error. So I call that a failure because we didn't have.
Did you say unforced error?
Yeah,
did you hear what you said when you go low? Did you hear what you said when you go low?
I know. That's what I'm saying, because I'm trying to go to because I'm going petty overload. I made an unforced error because I'm like, oh, you want to go to court? Let's go to court.
I think we need to switch the conversation and just have a conversation about being real with yourself.
I know, right? That's what I wish somebody would have come and told me, like, pipe down, like, relax. But I get to be that person for people now. I'm like, hey, sometimes it's not worth it. And then when you're in it, I'm like, well, congratulations. You're now an official business owner because you've been sued. In Nikisha Bond's opinion. All right, Mr. B. That is all that we have today. It is 6:00, and I appreciate everybody joining us. We will be back on Tuesday for My 2 Cents podcast, and we will be back again next Wednesday. Make sure that you join us live tomorrow. We are going to be at the Delta Hotel in Ontario. Scan the QR code. We have a coupon in let me see, trying to put all this stuff on the screen. We have a coupon code. Make sure that you use that so that you can get $50 off of your tickets. We definitely want to see you at the conference. This is going to be the best conference that you've been to. We have so many great people coming out. You definitely want to join. We also have our awards dinner that we're going to be having as well on May 9th. So if you want to go to the conference, you want to go to the awards dinner, you want to go to both, you want to go to just one day, we will take it all. Go to the website, www.blackchamberofcommerce.org, and get your tickets today. Well, with that, this is Nikisha Bond signing off, and we appreciate you joining us today. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
One of the secrets to exposure for your business lies within supporting Black businesses and entrepreneurs. And that is why the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce is here to connect Black businesses from the desert to the sea. Let's join hands to empower and sustain our community. By becoming a member of the Southern California Black Chamber of Commerce, you can grow your business and increase your clientele. With our innovation, we'll generate new businesses and get new customers. And we'll connect new mindsets with businesses from across Southern California to help bridge the wealth gap. Let's connect, build, and grow together. Join us now at blackchamberofcommerce.org.